Welcome to the Connected Leaders Academy virtual conference designed to reshape your vision of transformation. As we navigate the evolving business landscape, our speakers will unveil innovative strategies to manage and initiate change. Prepare to adapt, innovate, and lead, ensuring your role in this transformative era.
I've got a chip on my shoulder, and I've got something to prove. When my mother was pregnant with me, she was diagnosed with lupus. And the doctor said to her, if you expect to live, you're going to have to abort this baby. And my mother squared her shoulders and said, I will not give up on my baby. If it kills me, I'm going to make sure he lives. And as you can see, I'm here, but she's not. My name is Orrick Quick, and Orrick means oak tree, which means I've had to be strong for a very long time. But when my mother died, it felt like I got buried with her. But there were principles that resurrected my life. I want to start off by giving you the first principle of today. Never allow your past to have a meeting with your future without your potential being present. In other words, there are so many things hanging over your head, trying to keep you down, trying to keep you insignificant, trying to make you feel like you're not who you really are, but you know who you really are. And that is the reason why you've been up against so much opposition and adversity. And so what I want you to understand on today is the reason why I am here today is because my mom had a chip on her shoulder. She wanted to prove that what her doctor told her was not going to happen to me. In other words, you got to have the audacity to stand up against life and look life in the eye and say, you will not defeat me. You will not overcome whatever is in me will come to the surface, and you will not stop me from being who I was called to be. And that was the mentality that my mom had. So when I say to you, never allow your past to have a meeting with your future without your potential being present, it is a declaration that you got to keep the past in the past and keep embracing the future every single day. Because my mom had a mission. This doctor tried to abort my future. This doctor wanted my mom to simply give up on me, but I am so grateful that my mom saw something in me that I couldn't even see in myself. I was an infant. I was a child inside of her womb. I couldn't see the potential that was in me, but I'm so grateful today that there are times in your life that even when you cannot see it for yourself, that people will even invest their bodies, their minds, their mentality, just to make sure that you are born. That is exactly what my mom did for me. She invested her health, her life, everything just for me to be born. And I am grateful today that she made it up in her mind that she was going to fight for her child. And then the doctor said to her, well, even if this child lives, he's going to be a vegetable for the rest of his natural life. What are you going to do then? But my mom had tenacity. She had temerity. She had boldness to stand flat-footed and say, but at least I'm going to give him a shot. Oh, man, just for a second, I want to talk to people on here today to just understand that you just got to give it a shot. Give your dream a shot. Give your vision a shot. Whatever it is, just give it a shot. And so throughout my life, I've had people to try to cut me down, try to make me feel like I was insignificant, try to make me feel like I didn't bring anything to the table. And I'll never forget the time when I had a big dream. Yeah, I wanted to play for a Division I university. I wanted to play football. I played middle linebacker in high school, and it was a big dream of mine to move on to the collegiate level, Division I football. And so I didn't have the grades coming out of high school to do that. So I had to go to another college just so I can get my grades up and, and pursue that dream. But one day I was talking to one of my professors, and I was talking to one of my instructors, and he asked me a question. He said, "Orrick, what do you want to do? You're here at A&T State University. What do you want to do?" I said, "Well, sir, it is really my dream to transfer from this college to another college just so I can play Division I football. It's always been my dream." This instructor stepped back, looked me up and down, and said, "That's not going to happen. You're going to get out here and you're going to party like everyone else at this university. Your grades are going to slip and you're going to get lost in the shuffle. And you're going to stay right here with me at A&T." And I didn't know if the brother was bitter or what was going on. But that word that he tried to speak over me, it broke me for a moment. It broke me for a second until I got back home. And this small, still voice asked me a question and said, "Orrick, who determines your future? You or him?" I said, "I do." He said, "Well, this is what we are going to do. You're going to go to every instructor and you're going to ask every instructor what you have to do to make either an A or a B so that you can transfer out of this college and reach your goal." And I did just that. I was the first person to get to all of my classes, and I was the last person to leave. I was asking all of my instructors, what can I do? What can I do to get an A or B? Because if I get a C, I cannot transfer. So extra credit, come on. You need me to do, what do you need me to do? You need me to stay over? You need me to help you with anything? I'll do whatever it takes, because I refuse to allow this instructor's words to live over my head, and I don't do anything about it. And y'all, let me tell you what happened. I ended up leaving North Carolina A&T State University on AB honor roll and transferred to North Carolina State University. Go Wolfpack. And even then, there was still someone still trying to stop me from being who I was called to be. And they said, "Oh, well, yeah, he got accepted, but he'll never play football for them." And I ended up walking on the football team, earning my football scholarship, and walked away with a bowl ring. What I'm simply telling you today is that the chip on your shoulder is simply a gift. Could it be that the chip is a gift? That sometimes we just need someone to stir us up. We need somebody to just tell us, "No, you can't do that. That's not possible." Not knowing that it is God behind the scenes pulling the strings. It is God literally draining us of all of our potential, making sure that we live up to who we really are. And all I'm saying today is that there are times in your life where people are going to tell you no. But all I'm saying is that the no is so that you will have the audacity to fight for a yes. And so I want to give you the acronym for CHIP. CHIP means converting hell into purpose. Come on now. In other words, all of us have been through some form of hell in our life, whether it's a child passing away in our arms, whether it's your mother passing away in your arms. I was 15 years old. My mom lived 15 years before she passed away in my arms at the age of 15 years old. And I'm telling you that you got to have power to convert hell into purpose. And I'll never forget, there was this man who was sitting on this bench. But before he got to the bench, he was highly depressed. He never would leave the home. And his kids, every day when they got out of school, they would come to their dad and say, "Dad, can we go to the playground? Can we go do something together? Can we get out of this home?" But every day he was highly depressed. He didn't want to get out of the bed. He didn't want to do anything at all. But this one day he decided, okay, we're going to go to the park. And so he put his kids in the car and they drove to the park, and he's sitting on this bench and he's watching his kids play on the playgrounds and on the swing sets, having a great time while he is still full-blown depressed. And he's thinking about how terrible things are and how bad it is for him. But all of a sudden, this white van drives down to the park, and two men jump out of the car and run towards his two kids on the playground and grab his two kids, trying to force them back into the van. Well, out of nowhere, like Bruce Banner turning into the Incredible Hulk, this man jumped off of the bench, ran towards this white van, fought these two men with everything he had, recovered his two children, and they lived a life full of excitement and enthusiasm. And I said, well, what happened to this man? He discovered the chip on his shoulder. He discovered what life was all about. The moment that he started fighting for his kids, the moment that he started fighting for his children, he realized what life was all about. And my question for you today, are you willing to fight for your dreams the way you would fight for your kids? If someone tried to take away your children, what would you do? Would you remain depressed? Would you remain in that low state of life? Absolutely not. You would get up off of the bench and fight for your children with everything that is within you. That's all I'm saying. The chip on your shoulder gives you that same tenacity so that you can fight for your kids the same way you would fight for your vision. And so what I'm simply telling you today is that is the same reason my mom fought for me. See, when you got a chip on your shoulder, let me explain to you, which is my next principle. When you got a chip on your shoulder, you do the unexpected. Because unexpected actions always create unscheduled miracles. Woo, man. Well, one day, I'll never forget it. Me and my wife, our kids, we were all watching one of our favorite shows, My Wife and Kids, on television. And all of a sudden, we began to see smoke flood into the room. And I quickly opened up the door only to find out that our home was on fire. I quickly ran and grabbed my wife and my kids and I pushed them, got them out of the home. But something inside of me said, I gotta try to save my home. I don't want to lose my childhood home. This is the home that my mom raised me up in. This is the home that I don't want to lose these memories. I gotta do something. And I got my family out of the home, but I ran back in. I crawled about 20 feet under the smoke, trying to put out this fire with this extinguisher, but it just wouldn't work out. And I coughed. And I didn't realize it, but I was breathing in the smoke, and my whole life flashed before me. And that small, still voice said to me, Orrick, get out of here. It is not worth it. And I crawled back under the smoke and ran out of the house coughing. And with tears running down my face, I said, what is this, God? Why am I going through this? What is this? And I'll never forget what God said to me. He said this. He said, this is the fire that will kindle the fire. That sometimes we go through fire to kindle our inner fire. And from that day forward, I released my first book. I released my first musical album. From that day forward, my faith was a mirror of the fire that I saw naturally, because you become what you are willing to face. So because I faced the fire, my faith became a consuming fire. What I'm simply saying to you today is that you've got to do the unexpected. And our house fire happened on a Friday night. On a Sunday morning, I'm a pastor, I'm a preacher. What am I supposed to be doing? I'm supposed to be encouraging others, praying for others, speaking to others, right? Well, this morning, I didn't feel like doing nothing. I feel like staying under the bed, under the sheets, and full-blown depressed. But that small, still voice said to me, get up and do what I've called you to do. And I said, I'm not doing that. I don't want to go. I'm done. I'm finished. I've lost everything. Lost my home. I don't know how we're going to get back on our feet again. And I heard that small, still voice say, get up and do what I've called you to do. And I drove to Walmart, picked up some clothes and drove back, got my family, drove to church anyway, and preached like a madman. What I'm simply telling you today, because I did the unexpected. Woo, man. Can I just share with you what happened that day? What you don't know is that before we had our house fire, we were going through financial struggles. We could not afford even the cable on television. We could not afford certain things. And one of the things that we could not afford was the insurance on the home. We had no insurance policy in place when we had our house fire. But because I did the unexpected, after church that Sunday, that small, still voice said to me, do you believe that you can be faithful to me and I will not be faithful to you? And I drove back to my home because God said, go back to your home. I sent you and your wife a present. I said, what? What do you mean? What do you mean you sent us a present? He said, Orrick, you can't be faithful to me and I won't be faithful to you. I said, okay. He said, there was a letter that I sent, but you never opened it because you thought it was junk mail. And I got home and I opened the front door and this letter was 5 feet away from me on the floor. It freaked me out, I must admit. And I opened up the letter and it said, your insurance policy started November the 17th. Now, granted, the house fire happened December 9th. I said, wait a minute, God, what is this? I don't have an insurance policy. I haven't been paying any premiums. We let the insurance lapse because we just could not afford it. What is this? I don't have an insurance policy. And God said, you do now. Because, or you chose to do the unexpected. Unexpected actions always create unscheduled miracles. What I'm simply telling you to do is that because of the chip on your shoulder, it gives you the power to do the unexpected. When you feel like giving up, don't give up. When you feel like throwing in the towel, keep on fighting, because I'm telling you, your miracle is on the way. And finally, I want to share something with you. My last principle is this: faith is preparing for what you expect. Just over a year ago, I kept auditioning for this speaking competition called the Great American Speak Off. And I kept auditioning, and man, it just would not work out for me. I don't know what was going on. But all of a sudden, I got a phone call from someone from 10X Stages. And they said, there's one opportunity that you could get this golden ticket. And they said, but you gotta drive down here to the workshop. And let me tell you something. I put my wife and my kids and drove 10.5 hours to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for the opportunity of winning a golden ticket. I not only won the golden ticket, but ended up in the top 30. Not only did I end up in the top 30, but I ended up in the top 5. And not only did I end up in the top 5, but I came out as the #1 speaker in the United States out of 30,000 participants in the Great American Speak Off. What am I saying to you today? I am saying to you is that you don't know what tomorrow holds. But if you don't fight for it, if you don't give everything you got for it, you'll never find out. If I would have given up prematurely, I would have never emerged as the #1 speaker in the United States. I would have never heard John Maxwell say to me, Orrick, that was an amazing speech. I think I'm going to start using some of your quotes. I would have never heard Jesse Itzler say to me, Orrick, you did an amazing job. I would have never heard Elena Cardone say, Orrick, you're the only person I gave a 10 tonight. I would have never heard Grant Cardone say, Orrick, you did a great job. In other words, it is the chip on your shoulder that expands your dreams. It expands your reach. It helps you to become who you were called to be. And I must admit today that the only reason I'm here today is because my mom had a chip on her shoulder. She wanted to prove to her doctor that you're wrong about this one. You want me to give up my baby? You want me to give up on my child? I will not give up on my baby. I don't know what he's going to do, but I know he's going to do something amazing. I will not abort my son, but I'm going to give him life. I'm going to give him an opportunity, and I'm going to make sure he lives up to his full potential. Everyone, I just stopped by here today to encourage someone today, to let you know that you got greatness inside of you. But don't you let anyone stomp that greatness out of your vision, out of your grasp. Don't you allow someone to tell you what you can and what you cannot do. No one has that right to tell you what you can and cannot do. Prove them wrong. And the fact is, a lot of you, you've been treated insignificantly. You've been treated like you've been small. You've been treated like you don't have anything to bring to the table. And that is a lie. You know why? Because death and life is in the power of my tongue. It's not in anyone else's tongue. It is in my tongue. And what I'm telling you today, you got to make it up in your mind to fight for everything. I got a chip on my shoulder. What about you?
Thank you for participating in today's enlightening session. As we transition to our next expert, remember that each strategy and insight is a step toward becoming a transformative leader in your field. Visit connectedleadersacademy.com to stay engaged and informed. The journey of change is ongoing. Let's move forward together.